What is up guys, my name is Ignas, welcome back to the channel. We are looking to increase our exposure in the materials sector. Last week we went through the specialty chemicals industry and picked Sherwin-Williams there, but now I would like to switch over to a different industry, steel. So for today's dividend comparison I have three names from it. The first stock I've picked is Nucor Corporation, ticker symbol NUE. This year the stock performed nicely, plus 18.3%. And zooming out to 5 years, there is also some growth, plus 110.33%. Nucor is the largest steel producer for today's dividend comparison, with a market cap of $34.31 billion US, and the stock is now trading at a dividend yield of 1.33%. So this is the first pick for the steel industry, and I have two names to put against it. The second is Steel Dynamics, ticker symbol STLD. On the year to date, the stock is up for 60.38%, way higher than it was for Nucor for 2022, but zooming to 5 years, it is quite similar, plus 129.28%. This is a smaller company compared, with a market cap of $17.36 billion US, and it is now trading at a dividend yield of 1.38%. And for the third stock, I have Reliance Steel and Aluminum Corporation, ticker symbol RS. On the year to date, it is up for 25.89%, and zooming out to 5 years, it is up there, plus 146.66%. This is the smallest company for today's comparison, market cap at $11.91 billion US, and it is now trading at a dividend yield of 1.72%. So we'll go through these three for today's dividend comparison, and to track everything, we'll use Google Sheets. I've put together this table with the ticker symbol SIN, and for the dividend comparison we'll use 5 different metrics: dividend yield, dividend payout ratio, years of consecutive dividend increases, 5-year compound annual dividend growth rate, and the current dividend yield compared to its 5-year average. We'll check through these metrics under each ticker, add the results into the table, and compare them in between. The stock with the best number gets a point for the metric, then we'll sum the points up, and in the end the name with the most points will be considered the winner of this dividend comparison. I hope that the rules were clear, and an early thumbs up would be greatly appreciated, and with that out of the way, let's start. So the first metric we are comparing is the dividend yield. It is calculated by taking the annual dividend per share and dividing it by the share price. Nucor Corporation is currently paying an annual dividend of $2.04, so at a share price of $143.51, we here have a dividend yield of 1.53%. Now Steel Dynamics, their dividend is at $1.36, so at a price of $98.44, we have a dividend yield of 1.37%. And lastly, Reliance Steel, with a dividend of $3.50, so at a stock price of $202.06, that is a dividend yield of 1.73%. Second metric is the dividend payout ratio. The percentage here shows what part of company's earnings are being used to pay dividends. So for Nucor Corporation, we have the dividend payout ratio at 16.32%, meaning that around 1/6 of the company's earnings are being used to pay dividends. Now Steel Dynamics, the payout ratio here is at 11.83%, so they use just a bit more than 1/10 of their earnings for dividends. And then Reliance Steel with 18.17%, so a bit higher, almost 1/5 of earnings are being used to pay dividends. Metric number 3 is the number of years with consecutive dividend increases. So for how many years the company has increased dividends? For at least 1 quarter every year. For Nucor, they have been increasing dividends consistently for the last 49 years. Switching to Steel Dynamics, where they have continuously increased the dividends for the last 10 years, and then Reliance Steel stands just a bit better, with 11 years of consecutive dividend increases. Metric number 4 is the compound annual dividend growth rate. For the comparison, we'll take the 5-year average, including the next year's estimate. So Nucor's 5-year dividend growth rate is now at 5.78%. Switching to Steel Dynamics, and their compound annual dividend growth rate is at 12.64%, and then Reliance Steel, with a dividend growth rate of 11.84%. Now the last metric is the dividend yield compared to its 5-year average. And for that we are using my dividend investing watchlist on Google Sheets. So we are in the tab for Nucor. Here is its dividend yield history for each quarter of the last 5 years, and on average the stock was trading at a dividend yield of 2.49%. So the best time to get into the stock was in the beginning of 2020, with a dividend yield of 4.52%, above average for 81.35%, and then worst time was in the beginning of 2022 with 1.21%, under average for 51.45%. Still, if we would be getting into the stock right now at a dividend yield of 1.52%, that is way below under the 5-year average, minus 39.01%. So this is here that number that we will be comparing. Now Steel Dynamics STLD, we have its dividend yield history for each quarter of the last 5 years, and on average the stock was trading at a dividend yield of 2.25%. So the best time to get into the stock was in 2020 at 4.38%, way above average plus 94.96%, and then worst one was in 2022 at 1.33%, below the average yield for 40.8%. Though that didn't change much recently with a yield of 1.36%, that is still below average, minus 39.47%. And lastly, we have Reliance Steel, its dividend yield history for each quarter of the last 5 years, and on average it was trading at a yield of 1.91%. So the best time to get into the stock was in 2019 at 2.45%, above average for 28.53%, and the worst one was by the end of the same year at 1.45%, below average for 23.93%. Though if we would be getting into the stock right now at a dividend yield of 1.71%, that is just a bit better than the lows, but still in the negative, minus 10.29%. So we got the numbers that we needed. If you would be interested in doing a similar analysis on another dividend-paying stock yourself, you are able to access this watchlist by following the first link at the top of the description. Otherwise, feel free to add a ticker symbol in a comment below, and I'll consider adding that into the watchlist myself. Maybe you could share some interesting opportunity available in the market that I'm still missing. So we went through all 5 metrics and the numbers are in. Now we can compare those and start assigning points. The first point goes to Reliance Steel with the highest dividend yield of 1.73%, a point to Steel Dynamics with the lowest dividend payout ratio of 11.83%, Nucor gets a point for 49 years of consecutive dividend increases, 5-year compound annual dividend growth rate goes to Steel Dynamics with 12.64%, and the last point goes to RS, where its dividend yield is just 10.29% below its 5-year average. So we have assigned the points and now we can calculate results. Nucor got 1 point, Steel Dynamics 2, and Reliance Steel also 2. This means that we now have a tie between STLD and RS. So let's remove Nucor for the moment and reassign that point elsewhere. That one goes to Steel Dynamics with 11 years of consecutive dividend increases. So now Nucor has 1 point, STLD 3, and RS 2. This means that Steel Dynamics is considered the winner of this dividend comparison. Currently we aren't exposed into any materials names, so STLD could be an interesting start. I'll be adding new funds into the account in a few weeks, and this stock would add into my diversification, while also increasing my dividend income by just a bit. What do you think? Are you holding any stock from the steel industry? Share your best pick in a comment below. Also, don't forget to support the channel and leave a thumbs up under the video. Last week I've looked into several names from the same sector, so if you are interested in any of these, then click on a video that is currently on the screen. And that was it from my side, thank you for watching and I will be seeing y'all in the next one.